Governor Bill Richardson, former U.S. ambassador to the UN, former governor of New Mexico, and former Secretary of Energy under President Clinton's administration. The governor has been a frequent negotiator in North Korea, so we are very happy to have you here this evening with us, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Arthel.
So, in the meantime, as you well know, Governor, that Kim Jong-un is also bragging about how they completed North Korea's perfectly accomplished nuclear missile program in under 5 years, so he doesn't really need to test his ICBM. So is this a pro-summit concession or not?
It's a pro-summit development. I support what the president is doing, meeting with him, and basically saying this is a positive development. But remember, Arthel, what he did not do is say that he was going to dismantle his nuclear weapons or his missile. What he's going to do is basically put a freeze on any testing, any future explosions. But that is a positive step. I mean, that he's shutting down the nuclear facility where he detonates, the Yongbyon facility. I've been there. So these are good steps. But let me tell you something about the North Koreans. They're up to something, either good or bad, and I'm not sure. But this is a positive. I want to see it as positive. But you got to watch them. You know, they're tactically, they have a strategy. Arthel, my only worry here is I think they have a strategy. I hope we have a strategy.
Yeah, and I've got several questions popping in my head regarding what you just said, Governor. But first, I want to go here. How formidable and capable is Kim Jong-un's nuclear arsenal?
Well, you know, Arthel, he could have anything between 20 nuclear weapons, and the Defense Intelligence Agency says he may have 60. So that's the nuclear arsenal. The missile arsenal is pretty strong, true. I mean, he can get to Guam, he can get to Hawaii, Alaska, probably continental United States. Whether he can get with his missiles and a nuclear warhead to the continental United States, we don't know yet. He's probably close to getting there. But I do think Kim Jong-un feels that he has maximum leverage in his nuclear arsenal because technologically he's advanced dramatically. Is he capable of hitting us with a nuclear war? I don't think yet, but it could be very close. But this is the time to negotiate, to stop them, to curb their use, to put limits, put freezes, and hopefully denuclearization, although I have my doubts whether we'll be able to achieve that. Certainly not in the first negotiating session.
So then what would it take if it doesn't happen in the first round of talks? Because President Trump is saying, listen, in order for these talks to even happen, we need you to promise to denuclearize. What if that never happens?
Well, I think what the president needs to do, I hope the administration is, there are a lot of important steps that could happen. We talked about nuclear freezes, testing of missile shots, of nuclear shots, stop the chemical weapons exports to Syria, missile and nuclear exports. That's important. But I think what we have to look at is each side looks at denuclearization differently. We think it's dismantling nuclear weapons. The North Koreans think it's basically a freeze. So I think Arthel, this is going to take not just one session. We need to set up a process. The president needs to perhaps get a Secretary of State, a process that maybe he's going to take to 2020, maybe more time. But let's be patient and let's recognize that, you know, a lot has been achieved lately. So let's not throw it away for just, you know, not getting something at the summit. The summit is good.
Right.
But, you know, it's going to take, I've negotiated with these people, it's going to take a long time, and it's going to be difficult.
Well, maybe the president is listening to you right now saying, listen, don't think it's going to be one and done. You mentioned Mr. Pompeo. So he has not been confirmed as of yet. He goes up in front of the committee on Monday. What happens, Governor, if Mike Pompeo is not confirmed as the Secretary of State? How does that impact these upcoming summits?
Well, I'm going to be candid. I believe he should be confirmed. I mean, the fact that he was in North Korea, he's setting up the summit, he's the president's choice for Secretary of State. You know, I worry about some of his views. I mean, I'm worried about what he's saying about Iran. Let's cancel the Iran deal. I mean, he said it. I worry about that. He seems to be a very prepared man. I was a member of Congress. He was a member of Congress. That's good. But I do think for these negotiations, I think he should be confirmed. The secretaries of state, secretaries of defense, the top people that any president wants, I think the Congress should give the president that latitude to have them confirmed and in office. That's what I would do. But, who am I? Nobody does. So that's my
You're
thinking.
always somebody, Governor. You're always somebody. Absolutely, for sure. I want to circle back now to what is Kim Jong-un up to? You mentioned that a moment ago. What is it that he wants? Does he want to join the order of world leaders? Besides the good press that we believe he wants, is it financing for his poor economy? What is he up to?
Well, that's an excellent question. I think he does want to join the world community. He has an end game. We don't know exactly what it is. He doesn't want to get knocked off. He loves his power position. He wants sanctions lifted. He wants, I think, the end of the armistice of the Korean War. But I think a lot of it, Arthel, is ego. He wants to mate with the President of the United States, make a deal. He thinks the big powers in the region are North Korea and the U.S., not South Korea, not Japan, not China. So, this is, for them, this is very big. And this is why I think the president should drive a hard bargain to get as much as we can, but be prepared, be patient, and recognize that in one summit, it's not going to be achieved, the total denuclearization. But it's worth the effort if it takes some time and we set a standard and we set a timeline.
So there is, of course, a talk of releasing the 3 U.S. citizens held captive in North Korea. What else do we get in return, Governor? I mean, I know you're saying to listen, everybody be calm, be patient. This is we're on a good track here, but it's going to take time. But, how much time do we give this in terms of getting some sort of progress and what exactly the President Trump wants out of this? And how do we monitor everything in the process?
You have to have very strong verification standards. I remember President Reagan saying trust but verify. I think that makes a lot of sense. The International Atomic Energy Agency, international inspectors, hopefully U.S. inspectors. In the past agreements with North Korea, we didn't have that inspection regime. We do with Iran, which I think is good. But I think what we also need is, we have the remains of our soldiers. There are thousands in North Korea from the Korean War. Let's get some of those remains back. That's important to families. Let's get some family reunification that also involves Korean Americans and South Koreans and North Koreans. There are a lot of humanitarian steps. And then in the longer run, there's some real concerns about human rights in North Korea, the gulags. Finding ways that there can be an improvement in the economic situation of a lot of people there that are starving.
Finally, Governor, is there political jeopardy for the U.S. in taking this meeting? I mean, what could go wrong?
Well, if the summit explodes or the president gets mad and leaves, I wish he wouldn't say stuff like that, or Kim Jong-un does the same. The status quo before the summit was terrible. Missile tests, tension in Japan, South Korea. We got American troops, ready. I just think if this summit doesn't work, the risks are that the relationship not only will go downhill in the region, tensions will rise, and we'll be talking again about preemptive military strikes, which I think is a disaster option for everybody. So I think there's a lot riding on this. I think the president took a risk. I think it was the right risk, but there are risks, and I just hope we have a strategy and we're prepared.
Governor, the always relevant Governor Bill Richardson, it's a pleasure to have you on our newscast, sir. Thank you very much. Take care.
All the best. Thank you.
Always good to see the former ambassador.